Testing. Version number shown. Alright. Hollow Knight Silksong, Act 3. So we're starting off after defeating the final boss of Act 2. Immediately right into Act 3 because Act 1 and 2 actually take way too long for a marathon. But Act 3 is kind of a reasonable time to pull this off. So I'm hoping that this will be looked at, reviewed, and see if my submission will be approved for Games Done Blindfolded for GDQ. So, commenting right now is Saver / I'm the runner. So I'm gonna have my own commentator with a whole bunch of notes that I'm gonna give them, and basically gonna repeat the same exact things I am for this.
Controller, by the way.
All right, that's a good note. So most people use keyboard for this game, but specifically when I started running this game, it said it's best to use a controller. So I picked up the nearest controller I had, which was the 8-bit Do Lite, which I just used the buttons basically to navigate instead of a D-pad or a stick or keys for the keyboard. So right away, at the start of Act 2, we start off with 4 health out of whatever our maximum was. In this case, this save file that was created specifically for Act 3 has 9 masks. If you save and quit, we will immediately restore all those masks so we have full health. Alright, so starting off, after being the final boss of Act 2, and we unlocked an alternative memory where we trap grandmother Silk into the void along with her daughter Lace. And Act 3 starts off with just our base crest and no access to any of our tools that we picked up in Act 1 or 2 just yet. So basically, we are in a very vulnerable state at this point in the game. In prep for Act 3, I did get all masks available, which is 9 out of 10. The other mask is only available through Act 3. And all spool shards, basically, that you can get in the game, which is basically like how you can use skills, how you can craft items, and how you can navigate using your needle, etc., etc. So, the main difference in Act 3, which is the last act of Hollow Knight Silksong, is a lot of enemies now do 2 masks of damage instead of 1. Then basically, they have become voided enemies. They look black, like they're surrounded with black goo, basically, because Grandmother Silk that we trapped in the void is somehow turning them all into voided monsters. So for now, we just do some simple traversal until we get to our first arena that has 4 voided enemies, which is like the introduction to the act. And again, they do 2 masks of health each, and we want to make sure we conserve as much health as possible. And if I run low on health to the point where I think I'm going to die, I will save and quit to go back to the beginning and get back to this area. It will be a little bit faster, but it's very, very important to not die because in this mode specifically, it's Steal Soul mode, which means any death permanently destroys a save file. And the reason we do that is because you can gather one specific tool in this game, which allows you to use way more weapons than normal. For the fact that you're playing permadeath. Okay, so that's my second hit. That's my third hit.
Alright, it's good to
Once
show
I hear
off.
3 hits, I'm like... Sometimes you do have to reset. Once I hear those 3 hits, I'm like, I'm almost dead. I am gonna pause, save and quit, go back to the beginning, and you'll see how the trek back is a little bit faster. But the key is not to die in permadeath mode. Obviously, I will have backups for any areas that, basically the whole entire act. I will have save files scattered that even if I do die and the file is permanently destroyed, I can go back for marathon purposes to, go back to where I was. And I do take a 1-bit mask of damage there, but I think it's still okay. I'm just gonna go and see what happens and hope for the best. As long as I don't reach 0, that's all that matters here. The strangest part of Act 3, because you start off with absolutely nothing besides your base crest and whatever upgrades you got for your needle, it's possibly the scariest part of the run, if not the second scariest part of the run. Like this arena right here with just 4 enemies, because you're literally playing blindfolded. Literally trying to find them, literally trying to hit them without any fancy cheese, without any fancy anything. It's just you and Brawl battling. So you can see me, I'm like charging up my attack, hitting him as much as I can and using my Silk Spear, which is one of the skills in this game, so you can actually damage them for way more damage. And at times you'll see me like run up against the wall, cling to the wall, and just like hide a little bit, just to catch my breath and make sure I'm kind of away from the enemy and deal as much damage as I can. As long as these 4 enemies are gone, pretty much the next like hour and a half is pretty good. Like, there's maybe one small area that has a small risk of dying, but barely. Like this is like, again, the scariest area, if not the second scariest area of the game, which is weird, but that's how it is. All right, so yeah, we traversed a little bit through this area, which is basically the end of Act 2. So we're starting at where we left off at the end of Act 2, moving our way back down to the Citadel. And to progress the story, basically, yeah. So here we're going to fall. We're going to basically black out, and we're going to collapse. And that's pretty much the very first section. It's basically traversal, an arena with 4 voided enemies, which is a very, very scary, and tiny traversal. That's the cradle done. So now Sherma, the NPC, saved us and has replaced the caretaker that used to be in this area. She's going to explain that because we beat Grandma's Silk, the whole world of Farloom has been surrounded with voided silk and basically causing chaos all over. And we should probably find the caretaker hiding away wherever he is right now using the fast travel. But before we do any of that, we're going to sit down, and by sitting down, we're able to finally change our crest back to what we're comfortable with, the Architect crest, and we're going to equip any tools that we want. So I will most likely have to explain the tools before the run starts for about 3 minutes, or rather, me and my commentator can. I don't know. I probably will if I should. I already have like a whole infographic about what each thing is, why it's important, when it's probably used, etc., etc. But basically, the most important thing is at the top, is at the middle left right now, is that mask, the mask with the crack on it, and that basically gives us 1 extra mask of health. Right now, you can see at the top left that when taking lethal damage, that mask will break instead and leave us with 1 health. And when it breaks, it makes a very loud audible noise that tells me, hey, pause, and either save and quit or Alt and F4 to close the game and restart the game to prevent dying. Again, it won't happen a lot, but like in permadeath mode, that's like your saving grace from dying. So for now, we gotta go back to our fast travel companion, and I believe this might be the quickest way is going left here. But before that, we're gonna do a pit stop, and we're gonna find the Green Prince here on the left. In the earlier acts, we can free him from his jail cell. He will be here moaning about his dead husband that we killed him in the previous act. And then afterwards, we leave him. Basically, we have to talk to him at least once in order to activate a quest later on. So from here, we're just navigating a little bit to get up to the high halls. I get a little bit confused on how to get up there, but it's like, okay, just reposition, do it again. It's simple enough. So we're going to go to the fast travel of the Citadel, which will bring us to our fast travel companion, which will bring us to the rest of the map. I know, it's kind of weird. So we're using the fast travel to get to the fast travel, if that makes any sense. But when we call out for a fast travel companion, instead we're going to be meted with a boss instead. So fast travel companion has been replaced with some kind of ginormous worm, and I don't know why. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to inject 7 blue masks into me, which is basically temporary health. And I want both white and blue masks to have as much health as possible. I'm going to send out 4 cogflies, which is the max, and they do honing damage to the enemy. I'm going to position myself in a very specific area, and then send out a whole bunch of these bolas, which will execute the enemy. And hoping to do as much damage to get right into phase 2, which you can hear. that everything moved, and now the worm is going to go up on top and down at the bottom. And just in case, for safety, I'm always going to inject myself if I hear I'm taking damage. If I didn't do enough damage, I have to throw out more of these bolas to the enemy until basically the fight's over. However, I have no idea where the boss is because there's so many sounds going on. Like, you would think 2 targets would be easier, but no, it's crazy. So I'm just like trying to guess a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I am definitely not getting anywhere. And be like, you know what? If I can't brute force it, just redo it and go again.
It's much nicer than
so
the first hit, though.
you notice that I did not save and quit. I instead did Alt F4 to completely close down the game and then reopen the game, which obviously I had to be sighted in order to actually reopen the game. And the reason for that is, if I was to save and quit, any of the tools I've used any tools you use in this game uses a thing called shell shards. So when I was in that fight, I used a whole bunch of cog flies, I used a whole bunch of plasmium to inject myself with blue masks, I used a whole bunch of bolas for lightning, and that all uses shell shards. And the Architect Crest allows you to also recraft your tools anywhere you want at the cost of 9 silk bars. Basically, you can do it when you're on a bench, or you can use the Architect Crest in order to craft down the fly. If I was to save and quit, all those shards that were used to recraft would have been gone. Whereas if you Alt F4, you save those shards. And basically it's like as if nothing happened. So okay, round 2. We're going to try this again. Position. I heard myself getting hit. I know the boss is on the right. There's a 25% chance. It's either right, left, or top left, top right. So I know I did a decent amount of damage because I got the good pattern at 25% on the right. And again, I'm just injecting myself just in case. I still didn't do enough damage, so just guess. Jump in the air and throw out some lightning and hope for the best. And if done right, the boss is dead. Just like that. Our fast travel companion has defeated the boss. Yay! So now let's talk to our fast travel companion here. He's glad that we're here. Or is it she? Well, our fast travel companion is teaching us a song, which will allow us to fast travel to the fast travel, which is very convenient for Act 3 to speed everything up. And she has babies! Cute little babies. The Beastling Call. Mimic the song of the bell beast. Summon the beastlings and return together to their mother. So basically you can play the song anywhere now, and you'll return to a fast travel station right away, which speeds things up tremendously in Act 3. Alright, so before we continue on with the story of Act 3, I am going to make one small detour, which I have traveled to the wrong location and I hear it. I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. It's supposed to sound a little bit quieter with some water on my left earbud. There we go. So we're going to make a small detour to do a side quest, because right now I have those blue plasmiums, they're called, which gives you the additional blue masks of health along with your white masks. And you can only have a certain amount of them before you have to go back to an NPC in order to restock them, basically. However, in Act 3, if you go to that NPC, he has a quest, if you complete, that you can craft as many of those plasmiums as you want on a bench or using the Architect's recrafting ability, which will be very beneficial for both safety and sanity for a blindfolded run. So, just a little moving left and right here. We're going to make our way to the Wormways to find the NPC, who normally restocks these things, but instead he's going to have a second quest. Just simple platforming for now. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I have any more notes on this, but not at the moment. So yeah, A lot of the shortcuts, I guess, were unlocked just to make sure that for marathon purposes, even for a regular blindfolded run, like this would be kind of like how Act 3 would go anyways. Like you want to do as much as you can in Act 1 and Act 2 to have Act 3 be like smooth, I guess, or safe and smooth and fast. Alright, so we made it to the NPC here. Free bench also, if we want to rest, which we actually will. And he'd be like, hey, I know you. How's it going? After the whole world kind of like went to darkness and stuff, all these caves decided to sprout all these blue flowers and there's lifeblood all over the place. Isn't it amazing? And he asked us if we want to recharge our tool. We're like, no, not yet. But the third time we talk to him, we can actually accept the advanced alchemy quest. He gives us a needle file and says basically, hey, extract 10 plasmium bloods from various enemies around here, please, and give it to me. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So the quickest way I found is to stab this one person, the one guy. One worm? One bug? Stab this one bug with the file and extract the blood here. He can troll a lot. Because the charge of time of the needle file is kind of like slow, so it's really hard to like miss. The second guy here is, he takes longer to attack, so he's kind of like free as long as like you do it pretty much quickly. Like you probably have like a second to spare with that one. With the very first enemy, it's 85% chance to get it right, and then 15% chance for it to troll. That's my guess. So yeah, we got those two, and basically we're just gonna rinse and repeat this 4 more times. See, that's how it should be done. Just fall down, stab it, move on to the next one, stab it. And extract the blood. 2 times out of 5. You know, I will make a note here to talk about why this is also important. So, Plasmium, again, you've seen with the first boss, the Bell Eater, that it grants you blue health masks, which it gets tacked onto your regular masks. So basically you get all your white mask of health, and then you have additional temporary blue masks of health. And obviously the blue will go down first, and then your white will go afterwards. However, there is a way to overdose on Plasmium. And to overdose on Plasmium, you have to inject yourself with 9 of these Plasmiums at one time without sitting on a bench and without using a fast travel. And there are 3 different ways of doing it. 2 of which is very situational, but the main way of doing it is using the Architect Crust that I'm using right now. And the Architect Crust has the ability to recraft tools whenever you want, again, at the cost of 9 silk bars. So I can inject myself with those 7 plasmiums that I get normally, and then recraft my tools and inject myself with 2 more. And that will put me in the overdose state. And what the overdose state does is it completely replaces all the white masks with blue masks. However, if I take any damage, every 6 seconds, 1 mask will regenerate, as long as I don't get hit. So if there are like very long sections of this game that I'll take damage here and there, and I can just like rest somewhere or run away somewhere, I'll re-heal basically to full health. Or I'll re-heal, yeah, I can basically re-heal to full health. And that's mainly used, number 1, for marathon safety, obviously, for some areas. But the main place to use it would be the final boss. Without it, it's kind of hard to do the final boss. It's possible. Definitely 100% possible. But not practical? I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry. Especially if you're in permadeath mode. And again, because we're in permadeath mode, the Steel Soul mode, I get additional tools. I can hold additional tools or use additional tools anytime I want, as long as I equip this one special item that you get in Act 1, in the Wormways, which is at the top right. That bucket with the cloth on top, that basically gives extra tools when I equip something like these cog flies or the plasmiums or whatever. And the more tools you have, the better, the faster things go, and the more reliable things go for sure. Less you have to recraft, and the more you just have to spam and attack. Alright, so I accidentally equipped the throwing ring as my first tool, which doesn't really matter. And then I equipped the threefold, which is basically 3 pins that shoot out in a scattered motion, and then the plasmium for this part upcoming. Alright, so now we get back to the actual quest. So what were we talking about? Oh yeah, some Sherma NPC saved us and said the caretaker left, and the caretaker might have been a snail or something. You know what? Let's go find out. We're going back to the very beginning of the game because there is a ruined chapel there, and we suspect that that's where they're hiding right now. The snails basically are the ones that help us make the trap to trap Grandmother Silk into the void. And now we're gonna go up to them and be like, hey, what did you do? And these are the 3 snail shamans. So we're basically like, hey, what's going on? And we're like, oh yeah, well, we trapped Grandmother Silk, but also her daughter kind of cut off her arm and got trapped along with her. And now that's why we're suspecting that she's causing all this chaos with the void silk all over the place. So we're like, you know what? I'm going to find out for myself what the heck is going on. So there's a diving bell in the deep docks, which can bring us closer to basically the abyss all the way at the bottom. So we're going to just be traveling there quickly. It should be noted that for Act 3, right now for the save file, the way to the diving bell is actually unlocked within Act 2. Because it's much safer because there's one boss in the way, and then a couple enemies scattered that kind of annoying to deal with. In Act 3, they have a chance to become voided enemies, which means that their health is doubled, and they do 2 mask of damage instead of 1, etc. So it's just better to clear it out away in Act 2 rather than Act 3. And also for marathon purposes, it just makes Act 3 as a showcase way faster. But yeah, in Blindfolded, it is way better to just clear this out in Act 2 than Act 3. So what I'm doing right now is I use these items called shard bundles that will restock my shell shards for me to be able to use and recraft more of my tools. And because we're talking to this NPC, the Forge Daughter, she also sells these shard bundles for 50 rosaries a pop. I'm just going to max out right now just for safety reasons, and we're going to be using way more tools in Act 3. Like, Act 3 is going to be a tool spam, if that makes any sense. So we're going to talk to NPC Balo here, and he's like, hey, I know of a diving bell. I'll meet you over there. It's like, okay, see ya. I will see you soon. Alright, and now finally we're going to go to the diving bell. Once we get to the diving bell, that's kind of where like the whole beginning of the act ends. And like the act starts, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Or at least I separated these into like different like segments. Everything here is basically segment 0, where it's you start off weak, you do the side quest for plasmium, and then you get to the diving bell. And it's basically all platforming for the most part, besides that first arena and one boss, obviously. But yeah, in terms of trickiness, like, it's not really too tricky to navigate. Well, obviously, if you practice this so many times, but... And especially since the shortcuts are all unlocked. It's basically... So, like, yeah, I took damage, but I'm like, whatever. I'm about to heal up anyways. So it doesn't really matter. Let's see. So I mentioned that, and that. So now we're going to meet up with Balo again. He's like, hey, there's a diving bell down low. You want to use it? I'm not... nobody knows how to use it, but I guess I'll be your guy. It's like, okay, thanks. He gives us the key, and we're going to go into the bell. And now inside the bell, we're like, hey, bring me down. And that's the end of segment 0. Going down into the abyss. Oh, just making extra notes for myself, just in case. So yeah, a small little cutscene is going to play here before we actually get to segment 1, which would be the abyss. So in total, there are 5 segments plus the start. So to start, the abyss, 3 boss sections, and then the abyss again to end it off. So right now we have finished segment 0. Going on to segment 1, we're going to find out what happened to Grandmother Silk and what's going on down here. Also, our diving bell kind of broke. So we're like, okay, well, we're going to explore anyways. We're down here. So now it's just a whole bunch of platforming here. There are a couple of enemies down here that, like, flying enemies are the worst in this game because they will track you, they will hurt you, they will hunt you down. So I'm moving in a very specific way to just get out of each of these rooms as quick as possible and as safe as possible. So here normally I could take the top route, which I accidentally did. I'm like, I hear something. I'm in the wrong place. I'm going to take the bottom route because there's no enemies here and it's just safer. Note to self, heal on the bench beforehand because apparently the cutscene does not heal you. Regardless, it's easy enough to navigate as long as you're pretty careful on what you're doing. So you see me like gliding across the air. That's basically using an ability called Claw Line. Basically for 1 silk, you can extend out your needle in the air and basically use it like a hook shot. And I will be using that a lot. So this part's a little tricky the very first time. And I tried to like make myself go in the air a little bit to just be able to just claw line constantly through. And I think my input kind of got eaten there, so that didn't work. There we go. And the reason I'm able to do it so fast is because I have an item called Weave Light, which regenerates my starting silk a little bit faster, which helps tremendously when it comes to navigating anything. So okay, we made it to the very bottom of the abyss, and we find that Grandmother Silk is locked down below. And Lace's apparition comes in, saying, "Hey, rejoice! The whole world's gonna fall, just like we did." And we're like, "Nah. If I can try to save you, I will." So it's like, okay, we found out what's going on, but we kind of can't go down there without hurting ourselves. So now we have to figure out how to actually escape the abyss. Now that we know what's going on, and the only way right now is to go forward because the bell's kind of broken. So I will run into the spikes on purpose in order to position myself in a very specific area to be able to traverse this area upwards. Yep, and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't equip the right tool. Normally I'd have Cogfly here to help out. Because there's like 3 enemies that could get in my way, and I'm just like, I want to just get rid of them just for safety and stuff. Like, this is one guy. He's easy enough. It's just, you know, I just don't want to take damage. Same thing with this guy on the wall here. He's kind of annoying, and he's gonna like hit me sometimes, or once. Sometimes he can do twice. And then these flying guys that can latch onto you are so dangerous. And usually Cogflies just hone in on them and just immediately like discard them. Anyways. Well, those are 3 enemies, so like I said, it didn't really matter that I didn't equip the right things. It's just a matter of getting through. And I'm actually gonna get all my health back after this. Yeah, hit the hole. Come on. Alright, so we're gonna find our next upgrade. Our next and final upgrade? It's the first, next, and final upgrade of Act 3, which is Silksong. Equip the ring, yep. Oh. So we can shoot the needle up into the air, and it will keep going up into the air until it hits the ceiling. And if it does hit a ceiling, it'll drag us upwards. Just like that. it's like, hey, that's kind of useful. I think we can actually escape out of here now using this. And not only is it useful to get out of here, but we can also access new areas now because of this skill. So at this point, it's just a matter of getting... It's basically a matter of traversing backwards from where we went until we get to the diving bell. And with that time, it would be... So I was normally going to explain how plasmium works again, because after this section, in about, I'd say, 5 minutes, there's going to be an escape sequence section. And the escape sequence can be punishing if you do it wrong. And for a marathon, I want to be as safe as possible, so I will be overdosing on plasmium to be able to get all blue masks that will auto regenerate every 6 seconds, as long as I don't get hit. This escape sequence kind of long too, so even if I do take damage, I should be able to regenerate, everything pretty quickly. So there's little to no risk of dying at all. Like, no, you don't need to do this, but if you're low on health, you can always save and quit, go back to a previous bench, redo this escape sequence, etc., etc. But for a marathon, I think it's just cooler to have it all done in one motion, even if it takes a little while to get through. But safety is key.
Actually,
like, you want to be as safe as possible.
I didn't heal up. Oh.
Yeah, I was just checking here. I'm like, I took like 2 masks of damage. Maybe I should heal. And I noticed that I'm missing my silk. And I think here I just had a small hiccup on trying to figure out what was going on. I forgot that after I stick to the wall, I'm supposed to claw line outwards. So right now I'm just like testing, like, where is this platform again? It's very small. But if I take too much damage, I'm like, you know what? I can inject myself extra blue masks. It's no big deal. Like, using the shell shards and buying more shell shards is like nothing. It's just more for consistency. Like, hey, but I normally don't use this here. I don't have to make extra pit stops to buy more shards, etc. But if it turns out that way, it's like, yeah, sure. I'll just take a 2-minute pit stop just to refill on some things. Okay, there we go. I finally figured out what I was missing. And because I hit this enemy, every time you hit an enemy, you get 1 bar silk, for the most part, most enemies. And if you have 9 of them, you can either craft with the Arctic Crest, or you can bind, which will heal 3 masks of white masks health. So that's why I just decided to heal, just, super safety. And again, this is just traversing backwards. And for some reason, my controller, I think, was acting weird at this point. Because I remember being confused, like, I'm doing everything right, what's going on? And some of the inputs weren't registering. But I think that'll be just happening in this section.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I'm testing to see where the edge is. It doesn't matter, again, if I take damage or not, I'm just going to inject myself. And if it gets really bad, there's always save and quit, So let's see. So there's one more room. I think it's just this room is left. And then finally it's the final room. So with the whole... Yeah, the escape sequence starts off kind of slow, but it's like you have to do a lot of consecutive platforming with walls, with very little spots to rest and stand on that will respawn you back at that area. So basically it's get good and get good fast, because the second half, there's going to be lava following you, and if you don't move within like 1 to 2 seconds, that lava's going to get you. And lava normally does 2 masks of damage, but I do have an item equipped called the Magma Bell that will reduce any lava or fire damage from 2 to 1. So usually, anytime I take any damage is now going to be only 1 in this escape sequence. And if I don't get hit for 6 seconds afterwards, I will regenerate that health. Which kind of makes it almost free, but it's super, super stressful. Okay. So yeah, we realized that the diving bell is gone, so that's why we used our new Silksong skill to get up to find this new area up here. And this is like really the only area we can go, so it's like, okay, we're just gonna keep moving forward. And I'm just trying to think, like, how did this go again? I'm like, there's very little risk of anything going too wrong here, which is always good to know. It's just how to like efficiently get through, you know? Alright, so we found a bench, which marks the start of the escape sequence. And as usual, anytime anything big happens, it's always a good idea. Well, not always a good idea, but I'm always gonna like prepare myself with the proper tools and
Make
stuff.
sure that was there.
The proper tool, proper blue tools, proper red tools, and I'm never touching the yellow tools. Because the yellow tools, one lets me stick to the walls, the other one is that cell satchel that gives me extra weapons, and the dice basically can sometimes negate damage, which is nice. But that mask usually never ever stays off for Steel Soul mode. So yeah, I will equip the Magma Bell, and I'm going to equip the Weave Light, which will make my silk regenerate faster, just in case I have to, because you got to move quickly.
Take it off.
And there's going to be a lot of claw line stuff going on. Bing. And the bell makes a noise when you put it on. Well, you have to first take it off, and then you have to put it on, and it'll make a noise, so I know exactly what I have. So step 1, inject 7 plasmids into myself, recraft using 9 silk.
Maybe?
2 more, and then I am overdosed now. So all my white masks turn into blue, and here we go, the escape sequence. I believe the very first part of this is going to be kind of weird for me. So there's going to be yeah, so this tricked me a little bit in the submission VOD. That basically you have to get across like from this ceiling to the very left, but you don't know how high up or high. Are you on the high part of the wall, the middle part, or the low part? And you always have to just assume you're high. And you can climb up the wall vertically, and it will like you can hear an audible sound that you're vertically getting tossed above the wall. And at that point, you have to switch directions right away. And then again, you have to guess, are you on the high part of the wall, the middle part, whatever. And then you got to quickly react to the sound of you jumping off the wall. So right there, it's like,
So
I went vertically up, but I did not hear sound, but I anticipated it, and that's why I jumped off quickly, you know. Again, this very first part, I'll definitely touch up on a little bit. Yeah, see, I never land on the bottom part. So this part has been confusing me for like, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute. Probably a minute. So the escape is stressful. Like, it's not run killer. It's just very, very stressful, but very cool to look at once it works, you know? Like, okay, move across here. All right, we got our... We're going to see the safety platform a lot, because after this point, there's a lot of stuff you have to get through before you can move on to the next part. And these walls are weird. Like when you go up the updraft and you hit the wall, sometimes you'll wait a little bit, and sometimes, well, actually most of the time you'll just immediately fall. But then you have to judge how much you fell. Like everything about this escape is about spacing. As you can see, I'm trying to space myself perfectly to hit that red rock in order for it to blow up to get another updraft. And I did find there's an invisible wall here, kind of, before those spikes, so that helps me align better. Don't worry, we're still not done. Like I said, you're going to see that safety spot a lot. So, the tricky part about this is you have to maneuver through spikes that are below and above you. However, you can't just float immediately in the air. You have to do, because how Team Cherry developers patched this game, you now have to do a double jump before you're able to float, which makes this whole area much trickier to get through. So this whole lava part is basically...
It's like you try to micro adjust.
I remembered I did that. This whole lava part right here is basically... It's always the same, kind of, except you have to sometimes make micro adjustments, because when you're on the wall and you climb up a wall, when there's a ceiling, you don't always end up in the same spot, if that makes sense. So you have to vary based off of what you think is happening, or what your best probability of getting through it is. So again, this part is just so tricky. It's like you want a claw line, and then you want to immediately do a double jump, let go, so you don't like jump. You just activate the double jumps and then keep falling, and then finally float. And it's just so tricky to time that right. And I do not beat count whatsoever. This is all practice and not practice muscle memory. Is it practice muscle memory? Like I don't count like 0, 1, 2. I'm just like, okay, I know where I am, go. Okay. Alright, so second part, the lava here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I fell too far there. Sometimes that wall, that ceiling can hit you. And then it makes you fall more than you want, and therefore it just messes up everything else. So if anything, maybe that one specific wall I will look into. And sometimes you just get a weird high jump that'll get you into those spikes, and it's like, there's so many different varying factors in just this section alone that could mess up so much.
Gotta go fast.
Like you would think, oh, just don't do a full jump next time. It's like, yeah, but if you don't do a full jump, and then all of a sudden you get the low jump, then you'll fall into the spikes underneath. So it's kind of like weird.
Can't go too high.
So like I'm trying to think about like I know what I'm supposed to do. So how come it wasn't working? And now I'm slightly adjusting the very end of this section and seeing, okay, so that's not working. What else can I do?
Dude.
It's like I know I'm hitting the ceiling. Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, I gotta make micro adjustment, and then I get stuck there. Like, there's so many different factors involved with this. It's insane. It is really crazy. Yeah, see, it's like that's how it should have been, but I feel like I could just do a small vertical climb on there to make that way more consistent. What the heck was that? I have never actually seen that one, ever. This is the first time I'm looking at my review. Wow, okay. That's a new one. Yes, sorry, this part is just incredibly stressful and tricky and precise. There we go. Is this one of the most precise? Yeah, this is probably the most precise area of the game. Of the Act 3, anyways. So here I'm just listening for the lava and then ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I... safety spot, please! Please tell me that counts as a safety spot? Okay. That counted as a safety spot. Like, I got so frustrated, I'm like, I'm trying to, like, make my way more to the right, but because I'm on the wall, it shoots it to the left. Alright, we're almost... this is past the halfway point, I think. So I'm thinking about the room afterwards, I believe, and that's what caught me up there. Alright. Try 2. Let's go. It's precise platforming. Alright. So here we have these 2 glowing rocks again we have to hit in order to progress onwards. Once we hit them, a big rock is going to fall and the lava part is going to start rising. And that's the part where it's like, okay, you have no time to stop. And my normal strat is to shoot these 3-fold pins and hit that rock at the very far away. But for some reason, it just wasn't working now, so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to manually do it. I don't care. And then here, you're just mentally preparing. You hear that second explosion, you go. And technically, there is a way to cheese this very upcoming sections. Like to skip like all the way almost to the end using Silksong. But you only get one try at it, and if you don't get it, you have to reset back to the beginning. And I figured it was just better to just show off the whole entire escape because I thought it looked a little bit cooler. Alright. To lock in and go. 1, 2. Like, I'm getting so nervous because there's so many sounds you can't hear what's going on. Like, you can hear, like, you latching onto something or gripping onto something, but that's it. Everything else, there's so much sound going on in your ear. And it hurts, like, to try and focus on anything. So you have to go with your gut. You have to just keep going. You have to hear when you're latching onto the wall and just go. And now we reach this safety point. We got one more safety point we can get to. Like this part's basically, you're racing against lava. Good luck. And you're just doing precise platforming. Left to right, using claw line all over the place, using float, using double jump. Go, go, go. Okay, we reached the last safety. And now, using Architect Thrust, I come up with some weird movement here to get it to work right. And I messed up that very last section, so it's like, okay, just do it again. But you see, I took damage, but now I'm regenerating my health, and now I have full health because it's been past 6 seconds. So there is no problem with that. So precise. Right, left, right, go, go left, go left. For some reason my dash button wasn't working. What's going on? It's okay. We make it here. Just 1, 2, 3. It's supposed to be after the bump. That's too low. Okay, one more time. Now it would just automatically respawn you right in the center when you're supposed to go Silksong. And that will be the end of this game. It's so stressful. But at the same time I love it. Because of how stressful it is. Or like how cool it looks after. It's like, I remember doing this casually and I was just like, wow, this section is both amazing and it's freaking me out because I am terrible at platforming. And the fact that you can now do it blindfolded is just like, okay, I'm with this section now. There was so much involved there to route it. It's insane.
Clean it up a little bit.
Yes, you can definitely clean it up a little bit. Alright, so the quest updated now that we fully escaped. We're able to come back here and finally use our quick travel companion. We could not use it before. It was locked out. So now that we went into the abyss, we're going to go back to the snail shamans at the ruined temple. The ruined chapel. And basically tell them what we found. Like, hey, yeah, they're down there. What can we do about it? As if, like, I did not know that. I guess I just wanted a precise location for where Grandmother's Silken Lace is. So yeah, how many times do we go to the ruined chapel? 3 times. Once in the beginning, once now, and then once near the end. So, it's just standard movement to get there. Let's see. Yep, so we're going to tell the snail shamans what we found. They agree to help us to get through the void so we can get through it. But to do that, we need something called the Everbloom. And it's a flower that can get past the void. However, in order to get it, they're like, hey, you have to find like the old hearts of Farloom, which is this land. And you have to get their hearts for us. Because they're full of power. And you're going to need all that power. And they're going to teach us a song to be able to get those hearts. And we have learned the Elegy of the Deep. Draw out memories of Farloom's forgotten past. So we're going to go deep into their hearts in order to get their actual hearts. The strong actual hearts. So normally they tell us of 3 hearts that we can find. And they mark it on our map, etc. However, there is a 4th secret-ish heart that we can do. And that we will actually do. Because one of the original 3 is really gross and hard to do. Because it has gauntlet of enemies after gauntlet of enemies after gauntlet of enemies after gauntlet of enemies, and then finally the boss. Which is a bit too much for us to handle at the moment. Or at least, and to get there is annoying. So we're going to skip that one of the originals and go for that secret-ish 4th one. But, for now, we're going to go to our first heart. Which I, for some reason, got really confused where it was. So I was gonna save and quit, but I'm like, oh, I'm already at the start. Okay, let's do this again. Sometimes these hitboxes, man. Anyways, so the first heart we're gonna go after is the pollen heart, which is according to the map, is located in Shellwood. The problem is, like, all these areas are going to be new areas. They're not going to be like old areas we've encountered in Act 1 and 2. It's going to be like brand new areas, basically. Because we got the Silksong ability, and that's going to let us travel and explore way more than we could before in Act 1 and 2. So what I decided to go with the easiest bosses to the hardest bosses. And right now, these next two upcoming bosses that I'm going to fight are what I consider to be the easiest bosses out there. So normally when you first start Act 2 like casually, you normally take this elevator and you go down to the Underworks, and that's how you start your Act 2. However, you can bypass that by going up the Grand Gate, which was the room before, to be able to unlock a shortcut into the Citadel and start Act 2 that way. So for Blindfolded, we do that. And so that's why you just see me here taking this elevator finally in Act 3. And after hitting it a bunch of times, we kind of broke it. Bye-bye! Alright. So technically we're in the Underwork section now, with only 1 health left. Step 1. Immediately get your masks back. Hey look, a bench. Perfect. What do you mean it costs $15 to use this? Fine, I'll use it. And this is only a one-time bench, or one-time use bench. However, if we save and quit, we will respawn back at this bench, so that's good. So you get 7 steps to the left, go up, and I'm going to do a precise amount of attacks in order to get to a set location, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then spam upwards to break this, and spam upwards to break this. For some reason I thought I heard it completely break, but it didn't. And then unlock the shortcut to get back here without having to do that all over again. Oh yeah, so this submission VOD has the older way of doing this specific room, which actually goes all the way around to unlock the shortcut for this room. However, I can skip all that, which I just found out like recently, very, very easily, which would save like 3 minutes, maybe. It can save from 1 minute to 5 minutes. So right now, this is the old way of doing it, where you fall down here, you attack an enemy all the way away, and then you navigate through this weird set of spikes everywhere, but these spikes you cannot pogo up. I guess I'll just commentate what I did in this one. So I'm going to be, yeah, I grab the wall and I try to get as high up as I can. Thankfully, I can kind of tell. So you have to platform off of 3 of these little flower bulbs in order to get up to the very top to unlock the shortcut. Plus, there's also another enemy up there. So here, I'll jump and immediately dash the wall. Jump and immediately dash the wall. And then I can hear like a distinct audio cue to tell me I'm at the very top. Yeah, that guy is very annoying. So I'm kind of glad that that new shortcut was found. Oh yeah, so there's screaming that will happen every now and then, just like you heard. That's just, I guess that's Grandmother Silk doing her void things right now. And yeah, when you hear that, like, you can't hear anything else in terms of audio cues. I mean, it's like very drowned out, so it's like, okay, just wait, let it pass. Let it pass. We don't want to hear that. Okay, I'm just verifying. I am definitely up on top. That time, I jumped too high, so that hit the ceiling. Yeah, so like that new shortcut's definitely going to say like 3 to 5 minutes. Oh god. Honestly, this specific section, and then there's one more, like this specific room, and then there's like one more room where I'm always like, you know, I just wish it was a super clean way of doing it, but sometimes there isn't, you know? Sometimes it's like, okay, you got to finagle a tiny bit here, you gotta wait a tiny bit here, you know, and then get through it. That's what this room is. It's like, okay, you kind of know what you do, but you can't get it clean. There's no super normalization. You have to like tap a little bit this way, you have to move a little bit this way in order to get it right. You have to wait a little bit this way to get it right. But again, oh, thank God, I don't have to do that. So, yeah, there's a trick that you can just destroy a wall. That final wall that I destroyed at the very end to unlock the shortcut, you can just destroy it from the other side using a very precise trick, which is very free, like very, very free. All right, so now that we have that shortcut, we decided to save and quit, restore all of my health, and start prepping for the boss that's going to come up, which is Seth. And I don't know if I have to, I guess I'll mention that Seth was like a kid that had terminal cancer, and asked Team Cherry, which is the developer of Hollow Knight Silksong, to make a boss for him to make a boss for the game. And then he has passed away, but his boss is Seth, which is named after him, which is coming up now. So that's kind of cool that you got included. Like, not casually, he's tough. Especially if like you don't try cheese him or anything, he's really tough. And it's a very nice fight. Very beautiful fight. However, blindfolded. Game plan is to nuke Seth. Poor guy. So, he's going to ask, do you want to fight? I'm like, no. I'm going to try to get a little bit past him and try to get as far left as I can first before I trigger the fight. I'm going to start throwing all my bolas against the wall to try to do as much lightning damage to him as possible. After that's exhausted, use all my pin pillars. Immediately recraft. Start throwing those bolas again, so I damage him while he's chaining phases. And then hopefully everything just bursts.
I don't need it.
The nuke method. Does not work for everything. Does not work for everything for sure. But when it does work, it's so good. Yeah, so if it doesn't work, usually I would Alt F4 just to save on the shards. But when it does work, thank you very much. Please come again. So now we're going to the actual boss. Wow, I wrote a lot for Seth, and that just went by fast. I forgot how fast that was. So for the actual boss, it's going to be Nylith, who has the beating heart that we need. And basically, we're going to use the same items. So we're going to use the Pimpillo and the bolas, but this time we're going to toss in some cogflies into the mix. And because we are basically going to enter a memory fight. And in memories, you don't use up shards. So whether you die or whether you finish it, you don't use up any shards. But also, if you die, it doesn't count as permadeath. You just respawn back to right before the boss fight again. So there's no... So in this case, for the cases where the bosses are really quick, like sure, you don't need plasmium. But for the other ones that might be a little bit longer, you have to do a couple more things inside the memory, okay, plasmium will be a good tool to have. Here it's just like, no, we're going to show you how to nuke a boss. Like, you thought Seth was quick. Actually, if I remember right, in my submission here, I think Nylith might have been 2 seconds longer, but it should be technically faster. Hey, is it faster? They're about the same. So yeah, so we're going past Seth's arena right now. Going to hit the wall, 3 to the right, get in. Gonna hit the wall again and play the Elegy of the Deep, which was the song that we learned in order to enter hearts. And apparently the statue, or water fountain statue, is where Nylith resides. So we're gonna enter into her memory. With the Pimpillo, Bola, and Cogfly ready. You're gonna see how to nuke a boss. Hopefully. So I messed up a little bit. So normally I'd recharge my tools. But I'm trying to let my car... Oh, there we go. I recharged. Yeah, this was a bad attempt. Yeah, I forgot the submission. Okay, so it's good. It's good to actually I died, because you can actually see what happens.
Let's just Show off a mistake?
Yeah, I did something really stupid. So it's a good thing I died, because then you can see, like, for marathon purposes, what happens if you actually do die. You just literally restart back here. No penalty, no anything. Just
Actually, not sure what happened.
okay, try again, basically. I think you only lose like 1 bar of silk overall, which is like whoop-de-doo. We don't need that right now. All right, let's see if I just do it the second time. I forgot what my reasoning was for the problem. I think it was the spacing when I was using the bolas. All right, no get. So I'm listening to when I get attacked, and then if I do, I know I'm going to get pushed back, move closer. That's it. Tons of health, boss destroyed. That's how it should have gone. Mistakes are good for us. Mistakes are good for what? No idea what I just said. So yeah, we're gonna pick up our first heart, which is the pollen heart. It beats faint and fast. It's 1 out of 3 hearts, and then right away we can just use our song to fast travel out of here and move on to the second heart, which is now gonna be segment 3 out of 5. So we're gonna go after the secret-ish 4th heart, which at this point everybody knows about, I think. Where if you free the Green Prince and you talk to the Green Prince in Act 3, he's going to have his own area in Greymoor. And how would you know about that? I think some people said they hinted at it, but when I played casually, I just found it because I was just looking everywhere for like upgrades and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, what's this? So yeah, there was an arena there that we just did a quick skip. Like, all you had to do was jump over it. Otherwise, it would have triggered more void enemies. Thank God you don't have to do that. And because this is going to be the last bench before we get into the actual memory. So I'm trying to think, like, what do I want equipped right now? And usually, the mask always stays for the most part. The mask always stays for the most part. I'm going to go with Quick Sling, which makes my weapons go out faster, and I'm going to go with the Weave Light, which regenerates my silk faster, so I can maneuver with Claw Line in the air better and faster. Okay, Cog Flies are going to be honing damage. Pimpillos, because they are really good. The problem is very situational. Because there's not a lot of them. They do a lot of damage, but like you shoot them out in a weird arc. That's really tough to hit, like anything small or anything that moves too fast, etc, etc. And then Plasmium, because we're going to be entering a long area. So from here, it's just walking through, basically going through all of Greymoor until we reach the very right side. And just skipping everything in the way. So the difference with this heart is it's not just going to be a boss. It's not going to be go into the heart and fight a boss. It's going to be go into the heart and find a brand new area to explore. And there's a couple things you got to do in that area. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to inject myself with 7 Plasmium. And then I'm going to leave the memory. When I leave the memory, I get all my tools back before I enter the memory. But I will still have those 7 masks. So when I re-enter the memory, all I need to do is add 2 more masks and overdose myself. And I'm gonna need that. I don't need. It's not like an absolute need, but it's a way to turn off my brain and just do what I need to do. Safety marathon strats and the safest strats, I'd say. And I'd still do it for regular blindfolded. Heck yeah. Safety is always best for this kind of stuff. So we see the Green Prince mourning about his dead husband that we destroyed in Act 2. But at the same time, he's glad that he was destroyed because he was taken over by the Citadel. He wasn't his normal self anymore. But still, it kind of sucks when you see your husband dead and everything around you is basically dead. Your whole land is taken from you. Your whole birthright is taken from you. Your pride is taken from you. A lot of depression with this one. So that's why he's a secret-ish 4th one, because it's not one of the original 3 that the shamans tell you about. So you saw, I injected 7 left, came back, I still have those 7 masks. Now I only need 2 more to go into overdose, and that just saves on shards. Welcome to Lost Verdania. A completely new map in its entirety. So this is the past where Verdania was once filled with greenery, water, flowers, and basically a beautiful place in general. And there's a lot of there are some enemies here that really suck, but we can skip most of the known ones. And our goal is to find enough yellow memories to unlock the Green Prince's past and find him at the throne room. So for here, you can destroy a statue to see all these small yellow dots, collect them all before they go away, and we got 1 out of the 2 right now that we need. Let's see, you need 12 in total. However, that only counted as 1, and there's going to be another one that counts as 1. And then afterwards, we're going to go for 2 that count for 5 each. So technically, there's 4 things you got to do, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of platforming through here. Using, double jump, using claw line, using silk sword, using basically everything you've learned throughout the game to get through this. Please, claw line past that. Yeah, I got confused. I'm like, I thought I claw lined, but nah. And you can hear like audio differences, like, hey, the audio was kind of going away. That's a house. That's not where I want to be. Also, did I mention the music is beautiful? I do have the music on an 8 out of 10 level, while sound is 10 out of 10. Because I want music during the blindfolded playthrough. But I need, hearing sound cues is the most important thing. So that was like the best trade-off I could do. And I kind of wish the music was louder or along with the sound cues, but that's as best as I can get it. So this is the second statue. Same thing. Follow the yellow dots. I didn't get it in time. So basically the statue is going to respawn and I just got to hit it again. There we go. Audio cue tells me I got it. So now I got the 2 statues, and now from here we're gonna go fight a boss that's gonna give us 5 of those full yellow memories. And like I said, we need 12 in total. We got 2, and now we're gonna get 5 from this boss. Let's see. Yep. I'm just looking over my notes to see if there's anything else of significance to say, but yeah. So the next boss that's going to be coming up is called the Pale Stag, which basically, if you talk to like the various green princes around here in this memory, he'll say, "Oh, we hunted these, and they were what made us kings," and yada yada. It basically looks like that little green guy that jumped over us, but holier, lighter. So here, I'm just trying to gather at least 1 extra bar of silk, because I'm going to need to, for safety marathon reasons, I want to be able to recharge my tools if needed. So I came up with a really weird strat for this. This boss was really, really difficult for me to strat in the safest way possible. And so the game plan for this boss is, I quote, "Shh, I'm hunting wabbits." Unquote. Let's see. I should be able to commentate this because it's gonna be weird. So there are some silk bubbles here that just gives me some extra silk. As long as I have 9, I can recraft later. So I start off by going to water, hitting this 4 times to the right to move that lily pad as far right as possible. Trigger the boss and quickly throw in 2 pin pillows at it. And then I'm gonna be in this corner for a while. So every time I hear him attack or bring out saws, I want to jump in the air, float, and then like immediately drop to avoid getting hit. Even if I do get hit, as long as I have like this kind of strat, I should be able to regenerate enough. And I can hear if he lands on the lily pad. I don't remember what I did. So when I hear him on the lily pad, I want to throw pin pillows at him. The burst damage. The thing that looks like a pumpkin bomb. However, I accidentally sent out 2 cog flies instead. So now I need those cog flies to go away. Because otherwise it's going to scare him. So the whole plan is listen in the right earbud for when he lands on the lily pad. And when he does, and you hear the attack, shoot out the pin pillows. Or shoot out the bombs. Whatever you want to call these. I call them the pumpkins. And this guy's being annoying by staying on the left side. So there are different ways of doing this. But at the risk of taking more damage. And more consistent damage to the point where you might not be able to auto-recover it. So I'm just taking the safest route possible. Stay in the corner. Listen. And wait. It might be slow. But it is consistent. I heard it. Boom. Those pumpkins deal like the most damage out of any tool. But it's so hard to get a shot to work. And because I have the quick sling tool equipped, I can send out 2 of them at a time instead of just 1. You see, I'm in my safety strat hole and I'm still taking damage, so I'm like, And as long as you avoid 2 phases of those, I think you always like regenerate 1 to 1.5 masks. So in order for him to actually land on that lily pad, you have to be pretty far left away from the lily pad. And the lily pad sometimes moves by itself, which I don't know how much that matters.
Yeah.
But when it's done right, it's done right. So if I didn't send out those cog flies in the beginning, it would have been a little bit faster. I just fat fingered the button. So these are 5 big yellow memory orbs. I know I got all 5 because I heard ding ding for each one. Cool. That was Pale Stag boss. Very annoying boss, even casually. So, the Pale Stag was on the far left side of the map. And our next location is the temple, which is the far right side of the map. And the goal of the temple is to activate 3 water fountains in order to make the temple rise up and basically give us our last 5 yellow memories. I don't even know what those are really called. I just call them yellow memories for now. So you see like these green flowers here? That whole, the place where that temple is with the water fountains has a whole bunch of these going all the way from the very right to the very left and higher to the right and higher to the left. And you have to chain it all together with precise platforming. However, you can completely cheese that whole entire section. And I'll show you once we get there. But okay, so this enemy right here, this is one of the most annoying enemies. He's got 100 health. He teleports all over the place and then he shoots stuff at you. This is why I brought the cog flies, to get rid of something like that. So this area in general, this specific room in this specific section, it's kind of weird to get across. Sometimes you get that ledge and sometimes you don't. For some reason I thought it took longer on the submission pod. And now I'm like, you know what? I just took out those cog flies to get rid of that guy. Can you please just go away? I don't want you for the next area. So I'm trying to get rid of these cog flies as much as possible. Because I kind of need to not do damage. As weird as that is. There we go. So for this, I want to try to get to the lily pad. So I kind of like, because if you walk straight right, you're gonna walk across the lily pad and fall in the water. I just was trying to go slower. So just to do a quick 1 platform skip, I guess. Come on, bye. I'm always confused on how to do this. There's like 2 to 3 different ways of doing this specific room. This specific jump, or these platforms, I guess. Because you have to get across here using a claw line. And you finally get to the temple that's in the ground. So, Let's try to avoid all the platforming sections. And this guy was in my way. You jerk. Do it again. 0, 1, stop! And you completely bypass everything. Well, in terms of like the hardest one. Let's not bypass fully. But let's see if we can bypass everything. Huh, let's just float all the way here to the right, and yeah, we just bypassed everything. We bypassed the whole entire platforming challenge. It's funny. Alright, that's 3 out of 3. Buttons down. Time to go back to the center and hit the big button. Alright, so the temple's going to start to rise. And it's going to be like, let your voice be heard. Let your voices be heard. And we're going to play a melody to get our final 5 big yellow memories. Let their voices know our grace. Alright. I'm just slowly getting these just so I don't miss it. I mean, kind of hard, but still. So I claw line against that guy in order to just quickly escape out of here. Otherwise, if that guy is dead, I think you can either do the cheese method again in a faster manner, or you have to do platforming, which we don't want to do that if we don't have to. Okay, so at this point, we're going to get to the boss of Lost Verdania, but we're going to build up our silk meter. First, we're going to recraft our tools, so we have all max tools. And then we're going to build up enough silk so that we can do one more recraft later. And in this case, I'm just going to be probably going to max. Because why not? I think for this guy, you get 4 silk per until he dies. So it's not that bad. I think it's like 5 times. Yeah, you just do it 5 times to get max, maybe 4. Depending on the regeneration, blah, blah, blah. Alright, so I'm like, we're good. And it's funny, because in this submission video, you're going to see me kind of mess up this area. And you can see how this game trolls a little bit. I almost guarantee it's not going to happen during the actual run, but it's good to show off the mistakes, because you can see what kind of things could happen. So number 1, this guy's back. And we're like, okay, get the cogflies on him as usual. He's gone. Okay, no big deal, right? So here is another area that normally you have to use those flowers to pogo off of, to maneuver off of, but we can cheese this whole section by using Silksong to get all the way up to the top of the boss. We want to hit the top, dash to the right, and go inside this house. The game was not letting me go inside the house because I was like a pixel to the right. And now this guy is like trying to murder me. He teleports all over the place. I'm like, okay, reset the room. Reset the room. And this is something I just learned during this submission VOD. These guys come back. Or rather, this guy comes back. Which confused me. So I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's a big, heavy enemy. He's not like a small guy. He shouldn't come back. I don't know if the developers messed that up or not. So I'm like, okay, wait. Okay, I am where I am. I left the room, I came back. Why is this enemy back? Like, this is my first time. I'm like, okay, this is a thing now.
I did not know he comes back.
There we go. Just like I said. That's funny. So I'm like, okay, do the same thing. Grab the edge of the platform, dash 3 to the left, Silksong upwards. You're on the lily pad, buddy. 2, 3. Go upwards, 1 dash to the right, and hold up or down. And now this time I hit a ceiling. I'm right there. I'm pressing up. It said enter. I was pressing up, and it still wasn't working. Oh, that guy got really confused. Some of these enemies get confused when you hug walls. I've noticed. So I'm like, okay, I gotta do this again. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've used a bunch of these. I probably should recraft. This definitely won't happen during the marathon, but at least now, like, because now I know, like, oh my god, this is an actual thing. Like, it's never trolled. I'm like, back to farming silk. And back to farming silk. So I already recharged to get all my cog flies maxed out for the boss. Actually, I don't need them maxed out. I only need 4, really. But again, I just like to be as safe as possible, so I'm like, okay, just max it out. For some reason, every time you panic, you kind of want to overcompensate. It's like, oh, just keep going. I think, no, maybe one more. Just maybe one more. And then, like, you get into that loop and you're like, wait a minute, stop. We should be good. Don't think about it too much. Don't get rattled up. Get back in your calm state. And this is why I like to have an overdose for Lost Verdania. In cases like that. If something weird happens, like, I don't have to think about health. I just have to think about doing the thing I have to do. But right now, doing the thing I have to do is figuring out why I can't get into that door. So it's like, you gotta wait. Do it. And then, oh, this time it works. Yeah. So, the game plan for this boss, the Clover Dancers, is shh. I'm hunting not wabbits. So similar to what I did with the Pale Stag, except this time I have cog flies. Oh. Immediately, I'm going to send out a Pimpilla and another one. And from here, I'm waiting. I'm doing nothing but waiting. So my cog flies could either hit the green prince, or you can hit the apparition, the memory, the yellow thing, which if it hits the yellow thing, it won't do any damage. If it hits the green prince, it will do damage. But I'm waiting for this tornado attack. It's going to hit me. I'm going to climb up the wall and then spam these guys. Phase 2. Do the same thing. Get these cog flies for some damage. He moves a little fast, but okay, here's the tornado attack. I used up all my pin pillars because I missed that one. So now I have to rely on my cog flies. And for some reason I'm missing 1 bar of silk. It's because I did Silk Sword? And that's why I can't do it again. I see. So right now I'm just like, okay, cog flies, do your thing, man. At the same time, I'm kind of regenerating health. And I just decided to stab it myself. It's a good backup. So there is a way I could restore more silk. Meaning that 1 silk I used before the fight. I should probably consider that just to save like 30 seconds. The key thing is don't die. Because otherwise you gotta start over from the very beginning of the map. And then make your way back all the way to that boss. It's not that bad, but it's time. Okay, the Conjoined Heart with the 2 lovers. That's 2 out of the 3 hearts. So, the 4th heart is gonna be the Hunter's Heart. Which resides in Hunter's March / Farfields. But Hunter's March, there is a shortcut to get through it, but it's blocked off in Act 3. Gee, I wonder why. Well, there's going to be an arena of avoided enemies that we have to get through. And it is a tough arena, a scary arena, one that you can die arena. However, I found a really, really good strat for this, which I'm now like just making sure I am prepped for this. I got my cogflies, I got my plasmiums, I got my reserve bind, so I can do an extra. Well, do I need a reserve bind? I guess for heal? Or crafting? No, for crafting. I get the reserve bind for crafting. Maybe. Oh, but the throwing rings, of all things, are gonna come into play for the first time in their life. Because a throwing ring deals very little damage. However, you have a lot of them. And if they hit a wall or an enemy, they have a chance to bounce toward and hone on another enemy. And with Quick Sling, you get to throw 2 of those out at once instead of 1. Which means spam, 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 and hope it gets everything. I accidentally turned this weapon on, and I'm like, wow. This is perfect. Like, this is what I needed for this area to survive. So here, I'm just farming as much silk. Healing up that 1 piece of damage I took, because I want as much health here. I'm probably not even going to take that much health, that much damage anymore. But my mind's always like, I know this area is like the deadliest area, besides the very beginning of the game. I want to be safe. I don't want to think about how much damage I have, or I've taken. I want to know that I can just get past it. And normally I used to overdose on this area until I noticed I took more damage than I can regenerate. So I'm probably going to be doing white masks with blue masks stacked on top for more health overall. Because I want this to go fast, and I don't want to die for permadeath mode. So first is first. We're going through Hunter's March the intended way, or the natural way, natural progression of things. And I kind of goofed up what I'm doing here. Honestly, that was me guessing. Yeah. I was supposed to fall into the spikes at one point, and I jumped instead, and it's like, wait, I actually got through. Because I was trying to get to the very top right, but I missed it, so I went through the middle. So you see me here. I'm prepping. Get my blue out. Get my cogfuzz out. Get my charge attack out. Try to kill this enemy quick. And this one, try to do some damage to it. Hide. Hide now. Spam. Go, 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 go. That's 1 out of 2. Keep going. If you hang at the top right wall, he has a good chance of getting stuck, which is very helpful for my sanity. Alright. And now finally, the third phase. Get the flying guy. Just get the flying guy. And the ricochet actually killed the bottom guy as well. Did I take any damage? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I took 0 damage. Yeah, so one of the hardest areas, or one of the more scariest areas of Act 3, reduced to that. Because of rings. Rings are just so good. Alright, we're done with part 1. There's another part. Well, first of all, we're going to do some maneuvering to get into a bench. So, does it make sense to use a bench? Like, for me, like, in my head, I thought, like, I lost a lot of health. So I'm like, I need to rest. You know, it's also going to recraft my gear and stuff, but I need to rest. Peace of mind, you know, reset. It's a little reset. Alright, so now part 2 is more traversal through the new areas / map. And there is one scary part near the end, which I will point out when we get to it, that I'm trying to like mentally prepare for. Like normally it's basic platforming, but the last room has voided enemies, and it has a flying guy that's voided, which could really mess you up really fast. And I'm just like, I've been trying to figure out different ways to approach it, and don't have a clear way of doing it just yet without taking too much time. Like, you want to be fast, but you also want to be safe. So I might reconsider. Yes, so this guy's voided too, so it's like, I'm surprised he didn't hit me. And I'm like, I don't know how much damage I took, so I'm just gonna heal. So this ring is kind of weird. So normally, it's best to just run into spikes to normalize yourself. I think I heard the edge right there. Yeah, I did. So this one, you actually have to hit the rings instead of cheesing through the whole entire screen, which is kind of weird. Alright, so now, room number 2, just glide across. I believe I have Weave Light on. Yes, I have Weave Light on. So you see how I have 0 silk, and then it automatically regenerates pretty quick? That's what Weave Light does. It auto-regenerates really quickly. It also gives me up to 4 silk that will regenerate. Because this enemy almost ruined my day. I don't have enough silk, so I'm like, you know, safety silk. That's why I got the reserve bind. Anyways, in Act 2, I got, well, Act 1 and 2, there's a total of 3 silk hearts you can get, which means you'll regenerate up to 3 by silk by default after a certain amount of time. The Weave Light also gives you a 4th. So not only does it regenerate more, but it also gives you a 4th as a secondary, which is very nice. So, after taking all that damage, I am scared out of my mind because the room that I'm thinking about is about to come up. And I'm just like, it's time to farm some silk. I need to heal. Or I need the ability to heal. Because I already used my reserve bind because I didn't have 9 silk bars to be able to heal. So that's bad. So I'm like, take it slow.
Just in case.
Just in case. I'd rather be safe than sorry when it comes to this. Especially since we're so close. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you save and quit, but still. 10 running. Double jump. 5 to the right. 3, 4, 5. Technically 10 steps to the right. More like 9. And then I missed it, so now I'm trying to figure out what ceiling is. I'm like, this is the ceiling. And that's like messing me up, which is weird. There we go. I hear a sound. Okay. 2 up, 2 to the left, and up. And 2 left, 2 up. A lot of 2s going on here. And I'm like, okay, this is the room. I am just injecting myself. I am not playing games here. I'm surprised I didn't. I did all of them. Alright, so this one is 10 running steps to the left. Claw line the enemy, please. Oh, that almost didn't work. Get all the way to the left. 2 to the right. Jump up. Go left. Go right. 1. Go. Oh my god, he almost ruined my day. And if he was to attack me, I would have, number 1, panicked like crazy. Took out the cog flies. Took out the threefold. Just spam everything in his face. And listen for my mask breaking. That's exactly what would have happened. And again, I don't know of any cleaner way other than taking it super, super slow. But you don't want to take it super, super, super slow. Because it's super, super slow. Alright, so we're going to get to our 3rd boss. Scarsinger Carmelita. So for this boss, we are actually taking off the mask for the first time in our lives, almost. So there are multiple ways to deal with Carmelita. There is the nuclear option, where you throw Volt Vessel bolas at her, Pimpillos at her, and all this stuff. And you can beat her pretty dang quickly. But it's risky. And for a marathon, I kind of want to be... I'm like, what is the safest way to do this? the safest way that looks interesting too, or it could be fun. You know. So I'm like really thinking about it. No. There we go. So, Old Reliable comes back. I almost discarded them for a while for this fight. So now, before Scarsinger Carmelita begins, please use the shell shards. Did you use it? So I should explain why I took off the mask. Again, if you're going to memory and you die, it doesn't matter. You'll just be sent back to the beginning and do it again. So the mask is kind of like it's an extra thing. If I'm going to be using Plasmium, it's not really that helpful. Because I'm going to be keeping track of my health way more often on this fight. So what I replaced it with is the Druid's Eyes. And that means for every mask of damage I take, well, actually, for every 2 mask of damage I take, I get 2 silk bars refills. And by having my silk refill during battle, I can craft more tools if I get 9. So I'm going to use the stall method, which I think is the safest way, but also I get to listen to the music longer. So not only is this boss, it has the 2nd largest health in the game, I think. But it has the best music in the game, I think. So this was the Queen of the Ants. Pretty much withered away because of Grandmother Silk. So to start this off, I'm going to do the same thing I did with Lost Verdania, and I'm going to inject myself with Plasmium, leave, and come back. And that's just so I can have the most amount of health going in. So the key is going to be throw attacks down on the ground, send out the cogflies to do their thing, whatever they do. Try to avoid any attacks, and if I do get attacked, heal it up. And then, after I healed up, 3 times? Twice for 2 masks each? Recraft. And do it again. There's a couple more things that go into it, but that's basically the gist. So, I'm not using the nuclear method. I am going to go with the tried and true safest route possible for Blindfolded. And I think it makes sense, because if anybody else wants to try this out, I think the safest, most guaranteed way of finishing it would be preferred. Although the nuke method is a guaranteed way, but it's riskier. Alright, to start off, we do have a small gauntlet. So I laid out some tacks on the ground. I want these guys to fall into it. And sometimes I have to deal a little bit of damage myself with my needle. My needle only has 2 upgrades out of 4, not a lot. So it's pretty weak. My tools do run more damage. So these are the last 2 guys before the actual boss. Normally I would be at the left wall, but I guess I wasn't. Alright, Scarsinger Carmelita. We're going to hang on to the wall, and we're going to track how many times she hits us. And I overdosed by accident. Because I forgot the dice trigger. Well, try to avoid her. Yeah, because she's going to hit me more than once for 6 seconds. Like that. But I can still recover. Using the same method as before. It's just, I have way less health overall. Nothing changes though in terms of the strat. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, I gotta get up and recharge. At some points, I just give up counting how many times I take it. I'm just like, it's time to recharge, go. She's doing enough damage to me that you see those green bars of silk? That's what the Druid's Eyes do. It's giving me half 2 silk, and then it's giving me the silk once I get hit again. Send out the attacks, send out the cogflies, restock, get the health back. We're going to phase 3, she gets super fast. Her last phase. To basically react faster. heal up when you can. Every time she hits you, it's a bad thing, but also a good thing in terms of Silk. And everything does 2 masks. Recharge! Yeah, so normally, you see, I only have 27 shards left, and I came in with 800.
Nice and safe.
However, when I leave, whether I die or I win like I just did, I will still have 800. Because in memories, you don't actually use up shards. Even if you craft,
There's so many ways
you
to
don't
start
use
that
them up.
fight. It's just the safest.
Yep. I decided to show off the safest. Like, if you really want to go after her, that's probably the safest way to do it. Just don't overdose if you want to be even safer. Yeah, I thought I'd dash to the right because it's only 1 dash to the right to grab the heart. I guess I didn't hear Hornet dashing, moving to left for some reason. Or maybe I started looking left. I wonder if it starts when you get into the memory. Anyways, that's the Hunter's Heart. So that is all 3 out of 3 hearts. We are reaching the final segment of the run, which is Red Memory and the Abyss. So now that we have all 3 hearts, we're going to go back to Steel Shamans. And we'll be like, hey, I got what you wanted. Can you help me figure out how to get through the void? Can we get this Everbloom? I remember seeing it from the past. That fights against the void, repels the void. Not exactly sure, but basically we need it. So again, this is the 3rd and last time we're getting here. And they're like, hey, you got a weird heart there. And they're referring to the 4th secret-ish heart that they didn't point out. But it'll work just the same. It's basically a replacement for any of the other 3.
Like, wait a minute.
So they're like, sit down, and we're going to insert these hearts into you. I kind of wish it kind of showed the hearts you actually got, as opposed to white sparkles, but it is what it is. And you're about to implode. Into our own memory. How does that work? No idea. So, Red Memory. Basically, it's 4 sections to just platform through. Platform, cutscene, platform, cutscene, platform, cutscene, platform, cutscene. In this memory, we have infinite health. We have infinite silk. So I can fall all I want. I can take damage all I want. Most important, I can claw line as much as I want. So I can skip through mostly everything. Like here, it's like 10 claw lines to the right. And then finally there's a door here. Got it. So, platforming section 1, memory 1. When Hornet was a little baby, first learning how to use their silk. Now I'm just stretching. I'm like, why am I showing the controller? Oh. So yeah, there's not much, nothing really at stake here other than platform cutscene, and it's like I've been trying to like get the exact platforming in my head, like down to the exact numbers, but then I keep reverting back to, you know what, just keep going forward until you fall, and then from there just do what you have to do. Like you can do it both ways. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, go, and then 15 to the left. 2, 3, 4, 5. So that one's easy. That's a 12 and a 15, but there's another fall that happens. So I'm basically skipping all the platforming of like these white bubbles you see. Maybe there's a couple wall platforms and standing platforms, spike platforms, etc. This 5 and 8? 1. I don't know. 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's only 2 small gaps there. And then I do want to fall off here to set this up. Sometimes I wonder how this game works in terms of grabbing ledges. Because if you dash in the ledge, sometimes you grab it, sometimes you don't. There we go. Claw line once, claw line twice, get in the memory. And I have not played the original Hollow Knight, so I don't know the exact lore, but I'm assuming this is one of her three mothers. Which was a dreamer? They're basically saying, don't listen to anybody else. Listen to yourself. That's nice.
This is the weird one.
Stop listening to everybody else and start being... just listen to yourself. Which is very good advice regardless. Don't be what others want you to be. Be who you want to be. Alright, another fall goes right down left into Hive. Yes. Right down left into Hive. Then I slide off this wall and then it's 7 into 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1. I think there's supposed to be another 7 involved in there. Regardless, I'm going to see if this works. I'm like, yep, I messed up. I'm just going to keep going because I'm not falling into the void yet. Or into the black void. I'm going to go into this void instead to the right because that will actually put me here. And that'll put me right into the cutscene. Anyways.
Left, right, left.
Left, right, left. Yes, that's the next one. So I think this is one of Hornet's mentors / teachers, which is a bee or a hornet or a bee-like person.
Left fall 10, right. Left
Which might be why Hornet is named Hornet. I'm not exactly sure. So here I'm gonna fall. Yeah, so it's 10 steps fall. No, to fall and then 10 this way. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just in case. Yeah, I didn't know if I had to float or not. To the right, I think it's weird. So I'm probably just gonna fall and then go from there. Or is it 12 and go? Maybe it's just 12 and go. Yeah, so again, you're supposed to platform through all these, pogo off of these, hit them with your needle, etc. You can just bypass it all with the claw line like that. And then finally, left fall 10. I left 10. And is it 15? This one's kind of weird. Why am I so low? What? What? Normally you're higher. I don't know why I was so low there. Yeah, I mean, regardless, it worked. That's all that matters, right? Like, there's no risk in this area. Like, you can fall all you want. Just claw line your way across. Pretty simple platforming right there. This is the White Lady, which I don't know if that's a second mother to Hornet or not. Again, I don't know the lore too much for Hollow Knight itself. Just Silksong, as it's presented to me. So Hornet's like, yep, I knew what you guys are sacrificing and why you put me through what you put me through. It's like, oh, well, you've grown a lot to be so brave to say that. Here, take the Everbloom. This is what our family uses to fight against the void. Or ward off the void? Is that a description? Fragile file taken from a deep and distant memory. Its pale light wards against the void. So, wards against the void. Regardless, this is the item we needed. From this point on, we are off to the final boss. We have everything we need. So we started in the Citadel actually. But segment 1 started in Abyss. Segment 2, 3, and 4 was the 3 hearts that we need to gather. Segment 5 was Red Memory, and back into the Abyss. I put them together because it's like, you don't want Red Memory to be a singular segment. Like, I kind of see them together. So yeah, just, we're gonna go. There's a lot of like backtracking the way you went before. So like, we went here already once. We're doing the same exact thing. We went to the chapel a few times. We did the same exact thing, you know. But there's a lot of repeat. Well, not that much repeat, really. Just some repeat sections, I guess. So from here, I want to just be super safe that I had full shards going into the final boss. But also I want my mask. Mask on. Mask on. Always mask on. You don't want that mask off. Not yet. No. Not ever again. I just did that for Carmelita. That was it. Not again. Put that mask on. Okay. So now I want to make sure that I actually have 800 out of 800 shards. And I hear like nothing ticking up, so that means I am at max. And just to be just super safe, I'm just gonna buy like those 2 or 4. So basically I just need 2 more shell shards for the final boss. And yes, if in the final boss, if I do think I'm gonna die, well, number 1, I have a backup save file I could use. But number 2,
just in case.
yeah, I will Alt F4 to save on shard bundles. I mean, yeah, sure, I can buy 20 bundles right now, and then okay, I can just save and quit instead. But it's like that's just the Alt F4 moment right now. Just to save on things, save on time, yada yada yada. Alright, so again, we've seen this before, and we'll see it again. We're getting back into the diving bell. You know, I say that, and I realized it was probably like an hour and some ago. It's kind of funny. Let's see, so do I have anything else to say? Head back to the diving bell. So Ballo will say, hey, it's not, you know, it wasn't my fault. And I'm like, yeah, it's not your fault. You know, I knew the risk. I know it was kind of crappy when I went in there. It's like, yeah, but don't worry, I made some repairs to it. So, and then I'm like, okay, cool. So I want to use it again. And he's like, well, if you want to, it's up to you, Missy. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So the difference now with the Abyss is the Void Pits will not hurt us. And in terms of where that actually is relevant, it's just at the very bottom of the Abyss. All the enemies and all the spikes and stuff still hurt. As long as you just do the natural platforming, for the most part, you'll end up okay. I mean, you have 9 masks. And if you are super scared, heal. And if you're super scared, use blue masks to get through it. The main issue with the Abyss are those tiny flying enemies, because they can latch onto you and they start sucking out your health. And it could potentially kill a Steel Soul mode. Potentially. I mean, like, yeah, it'll do like 2, maybe 3 damage, but they are scary. These guys right here. Okay. I messed up my spot, so I'm like guessing, and I just claw line your way across until you get there. Cool. 2, 3, claw line jump. Claw line. Okay, so this time I didn't get on top. That's good. I got the wall I wanted. Go down below for safety. And by safety, I mean run into the spike, because that's normal for positioning. Dash, claw, and go through. Oh shoot, that's right. I split my lip during this. It was so like dry and cold. I completely forgot about that.
I'm being dry too much. Shoot.
Yeah, then I'm like, oh shoot, because I know once that's split, all of a sudden it's gonna bleed everywhere. So it's like, oh man. It's like, where was I again? It's funny, like, if you have a small thing that takes you out, like something in real life that takes you out of the game, like a real life event or something like that, it's like, then all of a sudden you're like, where was I? Like, where precisely was I? Because I need to know precisely for a few places. Like, not all. Like, here it's like, oh, whatever. I can fall into this pit without getting hurt, actually. I just don't want to. So here's the final bench to the final boss. What do you want to do, buddy? Make sure you have everything equipped. And know that you're going to Alt F4 if you mess up at all. It is a long fight. It could be short, but it is a fight of patience sometimes. And a fight of luck and RNG. Lots of RNG. So I expect at least 2 resets for this boss, which means I'd have to watch the whole animation to get down there, etc., etc. But like for a marathon, like I would expect at least 2 times. Minimum, obviously, would be first try. Okay, what chance would the first try be? What percentage would I think a first try final boss lost lace would be? 70? But still, 30% has that chance of messing up. 65 to 70% is my first try. So we're like, child, we have the Everbloom to get down there. And her apparition comes in. It's like, what do you think you're going to find down there? Whatever it is, you'll be slowly disappointed. Basically, we're going to try to rescue Lace from her mother's grasp down below in the void. So we're going to see a cutscene to get down here. And if I do Alt F4, or saving point for that matter, this cutscene will have to play. Oh, I think Alt F4, yeah, this cutscene will always play. So that's the thing that stinks about restarting. And why it's hard to get a good estimate. Because this is the final boss. The highest health pool. 4 phases. Crazy, crazy boss. That took me casually 3 to 4 hours to beat when I first played this game. Oh, lost Lace. To do it blindfolded, such an adrenaline rush sometimes. So immediately, I'm gonna inject the plasmium into me and get 4 cogflies out and automatically recraft my tools. And then use shell bundles to get myself back to max shells. 800 out of 800. Because if this fight goes long, we're gonna need it. And I've done this so many times to practice. Except now, because I'm so used to like, let's just go for it, I kind of forgot the shell bundles. That's why I'm like reminding myself out loud, just do it. So the key here is, I want 8 of these cogflies to completely hit her. And she's still going to be in phase 1. I don't want her to transition to phase 2 yet, because phase 2 is when things go crazy. So I'm like, okay, I got a breather, whatever a breather is in this final fight. Yeah, so normally I would have done this before the fight started. I'm just using my sound cues to make sure that's correct. Okay, I just used 2, now I'm at 800 out of 800. And now, so I want 8 cogflies to fully hit her, and I want to get hit 3 times, which will do 2 massive damage each. So that's my that's my second hit. Okay, I thought I had tax on when really I don't. Trust me, I've been playing with so many different combinations with this boss. That's my 3rd hit. So now I'm completely out of that. And now I'm just waiting for the opportunity to... I got hit 4 times, I gotta remember that, I got hit. So now it's like, take out all the cogflies and spam the bola into the wall. Hopefully it hits her into second phase. And hopefully it skips phase 2 immediately. You craft everything, heal up a little bit. I don't know how many times I got hit. That's always a guess of how many times you want to do it. You basically don't overdose. You don't want to overdose. I mean, you could, but it's riskier. I don't have the mask up. I don't have the mask on. Wow, I don't have the mask on. So immediately, spam. At least 4 to 5 of these. Run away. Immediately, last phase 4. Be careful. Get out those cogflies. Throw out some bolas. Heal. Recraft. Avoid damage. Run. I'm surprised I didn't overdose by accident. Oh, and those white star attacks do 3 massive health. I get way more silk bars out of it, but still, you don't want to be taking damage. Yeah, you definitely don't want to overdose in this one. I mean, you could, but still. I'm like way too scared to know when to throw out the bolas. Like I'm waiting for a very specific kind of safe time. And boom.
Yeah.
Just like that, Lost Lace is done. Blindfolded. There's a few different ways to handle this boss. Usually it's like cog flies and attacks and plasmium. Because attacks she'll run into. The problem is all of her void attacks and the void waves that come out will remove all the attacks. So Bola Cogfly is just as good.
Assuming I got the 17 left.
Yeah, I removed the mask for Lost Lace. That's right. I completely forgot about that. And I hit the wrong button at the very end. Or wrong button combination.
Wrong button.
There we go. Come on, buddy. You could have had a sub 2. Well, no. I don't think it would have been a sub 2 either. That is 2 hours. I would, if I was to guess, like with like
know when
2.
the official time is. Is it when you let go?
The official time is this turns to black, and once the cutscene starts, that's when the time is. So the time would be right now. That's when the time would be.
Oh shoot, 2 hours? Oh man, that could have actually been like a sub 2.
That is crazy. For a submission bot, I got 2 hours, and this is like only my 3rd time doing this.
Probably did split my lip. Oh well.
Act 3 itself. So yeah, for reference, I have done all of Act 1 and all of Act 2.
In there.
But to get to Act 3 from the Act 2, you have to do a lot of side quests, which takes Blindfolded.
I mean, that's
4 to
like
5 hours?
Literally 2 hours.
So Act 1 it takes about
So yeah, that is Hollow Knight
5 to
Silksong
6 hours.
Act 3. In Silksong
myself talk.
where any death equals game over. My CrystalSaver. And hopefully I will commentate over this so that my commentator could also look at it, study it, be able to do a good job commentate, and we'll see if it gets accepted to the GDQ hotfix. Games done blindfolded. Looking forward to it.
GDB?
Thank you for your consideration for
GDB.
this.
I hope I did a good enough commentary. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing it, but my commentator
just
will.
In case
Who's
do you
already
want
agreed to
dates
do it.
for this? January
He's a good
21st,
commentator. I love Rick.
2026, Wednesday, 8:42 p.m. EST. CrystalSaver. So this is just reset before I submit it for consideration. I think it would be awesome.
Reset is fresh.
Act 3
That's the
being
way I see it.
the hardest act out of the whole entire game, which gave a lot of
Act
people
3 is
trouble.
definitely the hardest.
Still gave a lot of people trouble. But also in Soul Steel mode, where if you die once, it's game over. Obviously, for the marathon, I'm gonna have backup files that I can go back to for each individual scenario in case I do like die. But that only really happens in 3 spots.
The very start.
Obviously, the
Hunter's
first one's the
March
very
Arena
beginning
and
of the
Lost
run,
Lace.
which is like the first 5 minutes. And then the very end is obviously another one. And then there's one like near the end, which
Hunter's
is
March toward
much
Carmelita.
less of a problem now. So it's really the very beginning and very end. I'll have like backup files.
True. It's
And the
kinda
reason we
strange how
do
that works.
Soul Steel mode is because we have additional tools, which lets us speedrun the Act 5, Act 3 much faster than say like a regular
Act
mode.
5, jeez.
So I thought for a marathon submission, it's best to showcase something that's faster rather than slower and trickier and etc.
I mean, this is
Also, I just
pretty
think it's
good
just hype. It's
time
like,
for Act 3.
will I die? Will I
The
die?
blindfolded?
The thing is, I always put on the mask so I can hear like a loud audio cue when I know my mask breaks and I only have 1 health, and it technically guards against anything. So, like, as long as I can hear that mask, I can quickly Alt F4.
I take it off a Lost
Alt
Lace,
F4 to
so
save
if I
on
take too much
everything.
damage,
Otherwise,
I would
save and
know.
quit.
Or at least if the fight goes too much, I would Alt F4.
Usually
right
I'll
there
Alt
and
F4
redo it.
whenever something like that happens, though, just to save on the shards. I don't know if the credits need to be shown or not. The credits are like, what? 5 minutes?
Credits are pretty
4
short.
minutes? Yeah, this would be very interesting to
stuff.
show off.
and you can ignore the completion
And
time
I
and
even
the
showed
total
like,
time
some of the
because
problems that can occur. You know,
from a pre-made
backups
save file.
from restarting the file, or not restarting the file, but restarting the save, etc., doing something different.
Wrap it up, boy.
Of course, Marathon Luck, you may see a little more problems. So I'd say add
this
an
part
extra
you can just
15
ignore.
minutes. And
So yeah,
this-
for
the
marathon-wise,
percentage of
extra
time doesn't
15 to
matter here
extra
because
20
it's based off of a
for
save file I was
safety.
just working on, which I just I created a save right when Act 3 started, and that's what I worked with. All right.
Thank you for your consideration.
Take care.